This video is not about filmmaking, which kind of goes against all of my branding, but I am trying to diversify my skills and at this stage will take any opportunities I can get in the media industries. So enjoy. It's coming up to 7 o'clock and I'm on my way to a shoot in Cardiff today, running one backpack, which is a blessing, definitely. I've got a train in about 20 minutes and then I got to get to Cardiff Parliament for about 8:30. Getting there a little bit early because I haven't met the people I'm working for before, so I just want to get there early to set up and say hi, basically. They've closed this bridge, which is really annoying because that's the back entrance to Temple Meads and you have to walk all the way down here and across that bridge to get to the station, which sucks. The people I'm working for are a charity called White Ribbon, and I hate the phrase pro bono, but this is pro bono work. Pro bono means for the people. I always just thought it meant free. It will benefit a charity, which is nice. And for me, it's essential photography experience to build my photography portfolio. I will give them some great photos, but there's less pressure, so I get to play around and improve my skills. I'd left myself so much time to get to Cardiff that I was able to get an early train, which was leaving Bristol at 7 in the morning, and I don't think my brain was actually working at this stage, but I did feel very productive. Going from travelling with these huge kit bags to just one backpack honestly makes me feel like a superhero, and it was one of the most beautiful mornings to shoot on. I love cold sunny mornings like this in the winter. I've only been to Cardiff a couple of times, but I love visiting Wales when I get the chance. There had been a lot of flooding in the local area, so I couldn't get to Cardiff Bay Station. But since my expenses were covered, the charity were able to front the cost of an Uber. And I was still about half an hour early, so I walked around Cardiff Bay getting hit with what I can only describe as pure serotonin. At the time of upload, this shoot was less than 2 days ago. My new approach to YouTube is to just get these videos out whenever I have any downtime. My ethos from the start has been trying not to be a perfectionist, and I keep telling myself that what I think is a really shitty video may provide huge value to someone watching. The Senedd is right behind me, but I need to walk further away so you can actually see it. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful views. Beats Bristol, actually. And that's the Senedd there. I had to walk all the way back here to actually get a shot of it because it's such an impressive building. I'm excited, man. Really excited to be shooting with it today. There were about 6 people working in security, and it did feel like I was the first visitor of the day to enter the building. I'm definitely not the most well-travelled, but this was one of the most beautiful buildings I've ever set foot in. The sunrise definitely played its part, though. Going from shooting video to photo is definitely the best way to do it. It's basically great practice at finding different compositions, searching for a variety of frames. Now, I've recently invested in a small transmitter that sits on top of my camera, recommended by the lovely Chris Hayward, so you guys are able to see my point of view in the media briefing room. I'm going to cover this transmitter in more detail in another video. You can see this is a game of patience and finding the right moment to take the photo. The event focused on a new report published about preventing women's violence at an early stage, so I was searching for a combination of serious and smiley frames. Big smiles when you're ready. And this is the nerve-wracking group photo. I found this situation quite intimidating, and we'll talk about these photos later in the video. I much preferred shooting these candid frames of 2 of the panel speakers, one of which is the charity CEO. I wasn't sure how these backlit photos were going to turn out, but actually, not too bad. Great, thank you. And then if we could just get one over here, that'd be fantastic. We then took some photos in the main lobby area. Great. Thank you very much. Next, I joined some of the White Ribbon team for a coffee and then got to editing the photos. You can see I actually had my highlights clipped in some of the photos in the main lobby. If there are any photographers watching, I would love to know how you expose your images. I use zebras for video, but I'm thinking a histogram might make more sense in this case, so you can see when you're losing information. I also noticed when taking photos at f2.8, even when these two were stood next to each other, the depth of field is far too shallow to have them both in focus. I'm always blown away by the level of control you can have in the edit though. I hate Adobe, but Lightroom Classic is great.
Cardiff is weirdly quiet. I guess everyone's just at work, but considering it's the capital of Wales, I don't know, it's kind of eerie in some places. There's been a lot of flooding here, so I can't get the train back to Cardiff Central. I was filming near Cardiff Bay Station, but no trains are going out from there, so I've just decided to walk back through the city. I think on the basis that I was working for free, that shoot went really well. I obviously made a fatal flaw with the group portrait, having clipped highlights. For some reason, I thought that raw photos were just like, you shoot whatever settings in camera you wanted and they were magic somehow. But I now realise there is still a level of precision to be had in dialing in your camera settings. So, as I said, it's a win-win, win for them in the sense that they get photos for free and I get to learn. Man, the Senedd is a beautiful building to shoot in. I'm really glad I got to shoot in a space like that. Even though we were in a pretty dimly lit media briefing room, just being in that main space with the sunlight beaming through was incredible.
I actually removed the custom button for setting effect off on my A7IV. It really scares me accidentally having this enabled and exposing my images completely wrong without ever realising. I sent the photos off on the same day, and these are the photos the charity posted. I've started to realise that the flaws I notice in my own work sometimes don't matter to the layperson, and work that is technically incorrect can still function as needed. I do like how these photos in the media briefing room turned out though. I love fast turnaround projects. Overall, I learnt lots from this shoot, and I'm glad I made the mistakes I did. I think the charity was left with a good variety of photos for an event that actually wasn't the most visually interesting. And these are some of my favourites that haven't yet been posted. You can see the room was pretty empty, but I was trying to frame photos over people's shoulders to make them feel more busy. I think that's why some of the pictures featuring empty chairs weren't shared. I really like the ones of these two chatting. Anyway, I really like working in the public and charity sector, and it feels really good to be able to attend important political and cultural events where my work can have the greatest impact. That's all for today, and let me know your photography tips down below.